things like this that Holly and everybody present to educate us all, to remind us and to try to keep us on the right track. It's so important. And if we can then go home, each of us, and talk to our trainers and try to continue, our horses are going to compete better. So if that's what we want, that's the bottom line, and we're going to get better scores, better results if we don't destroy our horses along the way. So I know I didn't talk for 30 minutes, but that was mainly what I wanted to get across, that it really, really does give your chances, give you a better chance to compete successfully. Yes, you have a question.
Just a question, because it's great to hear that horses that you're showing are getting 7 to 8 speed, classically trained.
Yeah.
My experience in South Texas has been slightly different, where it's been more of the 4s and 5s for having an Andalusian stage, which has a big passagey trot, or is chewing on the bit, so therefore it must be tense. It can be a little, I mean...
It's very frustrating. I know exactly what you're saying, and it's... No, I know. And the thing is, in competing Spanish horses or Portuguese horses, really judges have lost their eye, or maybe they never had an eye for the way these horses use their bodies. And so we need to re-educate them. There needs to be an education of the judging community to see good training, not just spectacular movement. Way back in the beginning of the World Cup, the first World Cup final, the head of the ground jury was a Dutchman named Jaap Pot, and he was one of the top international dressage judges. And at the end, he had a press conference that evening after the first World Cup final. And he said publicly in that press conference, "I'm afraid we made a mistake." He said, "I'm afraid that we gave the gold medal to the horse who had the best movement, who was the best bred horse, not the best trained horse. And if we have, we may have changed the face of competitive dressage forever." And I know that Jaap Pot today is turning over in his grave, because that's exactly what happened. That we should be giving the gold medals to the breeders, not to the trainers, not to the riders.
To that point, I just went to the World Cup in Las Vegas. I don't know if you're there, but there was one horse in the final who did an actual piaffe.
Yeah, I know.
And that horse scored the lowest.
I don't know what to say really in response to this, because we know it's happening. The only thing I can say is that the whole world knows it's happening. A lot of people are getting more and more and more discouraged with this. After the last Olympic Games, there was a huge uproar. Those of you who follow dressage, I mean, all the judges were asked to resign. When does that happen? Okay, so people know that things aren't right. People want change. I think there's going to be a lot of changes on the international scene over the next few years because of this push by a lot of very prominent people. Judges are still afraid to give scores to people that they don't know, and to give low scores to people who are famous. Once you've won the Olympic Games 2 or 3 times, pretty much you get to say what's right and what's wrong. That's the way it has been going. It's not necessarily the right thing, but I think I'm optimistic. I think we're going to reach a critical mass. The more things we have like this, the more people who say, "I'm disgusted with that, I don't want to be part of that," we will reach a critical mass and things will change. But, we all, like Stephanie and Holly, we have to do it one at a time. We have to try to touch one person. I'm so thrilled right now that this one trainer has re-embraced these ideals, and now she, who has a very large audience, is going to pass those ideals on to them, whether she calls it classical or not, whether she called what she did before classical or not. It doesn't matter, as long as she goes back to training the horse for the benefit of the horse and not just following common popular dogma. Are there any other questions or thoughts or yes?
I've got some good ideas of how we I entertained three top judges who I know well at the last show we had. And we were talking on just this topic. What do we do?
Yeah.
And I know that Dr. Eichmann has some excellent suggestions. And okay, if you have the National Federation choose the judges,
Well,
unfortunately, no one will show.
Yes.
They want to know who's going to judge, and even these judges, who were all people I respect, they were older people that I've known for 40, 50 years, would still talk to you and say, "Oh, that movement was forced," and give it a 7.
yes, I know.
And they, as long as this is rewarded, this is what
We all saw a couple years ago on the internet a YouTube video passed around of a very beautiful gray mare from Denmark.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness, everybody said she was the most spectacular thing they'd ever seen, la-di-da. Everything about that horse was forced. There was nothing classical in her training. She was brought along in less than a year to Grand Prix.
And where is she now?
And where is she now? That's right, she's lame.
Yeah.
And when you take that video and you break it down and you look at things, you see the anomalies in her gaits. You see her tail ringing and ringing and ringing.
That's what it's going to take. The crowd has got to boo it.
Well, that's what it is. It does have to be that. But until people are educated, can see the difference between, one huge stride and then another one that doesn't match it, and then another big one, and then another one that doesn't match it, and say, wait a minute, there's something wrong with that. The gaits are no longer pure. The horse might be beautiful, it might be spectacular, but it's not happy. I love this in the FEI. They talk about the happy horse. What judge is out there judging the happy horse? They're not doing it. They pay lip service to it. So I don't know what we do. Maybe we boycott competition. I don't know that that's the right way to go. I think we have to keep each of us following what we know in our hearts and our souls is right, regardless of the scores that we get. Just last weekend, one of my students riding a Spanish horse, being judged by several judges. She got scores. One judge gave her a 68% and had her place first, and another judge in the same test had her place last with a 58%.
Well, that's been my experience.
Yes, I mean it's all over the board. I think they're confused. They don't know what to do. They're frightened. The judges. They need re-educating.
Foundations of
Yeah. Other questions or thoughts? Now the wind is coming up. Thank you very much.
Carol, do you want to
Thank
get a hug?
you. Oh, thank you.